When a Sigma female faces disrespect, she doesn't waste her energy on loud arguments or dramatic responses. She's a woman who values her time and knows her worth, and when someone crosses the line, her reaction is swift, quiet, and unforgettable. Unlike the typical responses that try to win a confrontation, a Sigma female's approach is about self-respect and setting boundaries without lifting a finger. This list explores 10 distinct responses a Sigma female might use when handling disrespect. Each one is sharp, deliberate, and doesn't beg for attention, it commands it. She's not looking to prove a point or change minds. Her responses are simply there to make sure everyone knows exactly where she stands. This isn't about playing games or getting back. It's about showing that when it comes to respecting her space, there's no room for compromise. Let's get started, rare gems. For a more thorough understanding, I invite you to watch the entire video and share your thoughts in the comments. Number 1, you thought I'd care, didn't you? You thought I'd care, didn't you? Is the perfect verbal checkmate, designed to cut through arrogance with icy precision. It's not a question, it's a statement, a quiet acknowledgement that the disrespectful person miscalculated. When a Sigma female uses this response, she's making it clear that their attempt to provoke her didn't just fall flat. It was anticipated, dissected, and dismissed before it even landed. Her indifference isn't passive, it's a deliberate, powerful shield. She isn't interested in winning an argument or proving her strength by clapping back. She shows her strength by making it clear that their opinion or jab didn't even register on her radar. This response is like a mirror that reflects the other person's insecurity right back at them. It forces them to confront the fact that they were hoping for a reaction, and they got nothing. She isn't rattled, impressed, or hurt. Instead, she subtly points out how little their attempt mattered to her, shifting the power dynamic in a single breath. Her calm and self-assured demeanor reveal an unshakable inner strength, one that doesn't need validation from anyone else. This isn't about putting someone down, it's about setting an unspoken boundary. By saying, "You thought I'd care," she's drawing a line in the sand, reminding them that her confidence and self-worth don't bend to the whims of others. Number 2, you'll learn eventually, if not from me, then from life. You'll learn eventually, if not from me, then from life. It's a simple statement, but it carries weight. A Sigma female doesn't waste her time educating someone who won't listen. Instead, she's handing them over to a tougher teacher, life itself. This response doesn't come with anger or argument. It's delivered with calm certainty, making it clear that she's seen enough to know exactly how these things turn out. There's a cool detachment in her words, as if she's already checked out of the conversation and moved on to bigger things. With this line, she's not even saying, "You're wrong." She's implying that whatever lesson they need to learn is going to come eventually, whether they like it or not. It's a way of saying, "I'm not here to save you from your own mistakes." And there's something almost ominous about that truth. Life has a way of catching up, and she knows it's often a harsher teacher than she could ever be. The brilliance here lies in the doubt it plants. Maybe they'll walk away thinking they've won, but her words will linger, nudging at their confidence. Because, deep down, most people know that life doesn't let anyone off easy. This response leaves them with that uncomfortable thought hanging in the air. If they don't figure it out now, they'll face the consequences later. And she, with her quiet wisdom, isn't worried. She's seen it all before. Number 3. I don't rise to bait, I'm already above it. I don't rise to bait, I'm already above it. This response is a masterstroke, cutting down any attempt to draw her into pointless drama without the slightest bit of effort. There's a calm superiority to it that doesn't just brush off the bait. It floats above it entirely. When she says this, she's not just rejecting the chance to engage. She's subtly letting them know that her mindset, her values, and even her attention are operating on a different level, one they don't have access to. By stating she's already above it, she signals that whatever petty game they're trying to play is beneath her. It's a quiet but unmistakable declaration that she's not here to react on command or be roped into someone else's drama. It undercuts their entire attempt, making it clear that their words or actions don't even qualify as worthy of a response. The beauty of this line is in its simplicity. She's not stooping down to defend herself or explain why she's unbothered. She's just stating a fact. It leaves them standing there with their bait still dangling, unacknowledged, and likely feeling a bit foolish. It's a way of saying, I have my own path, my own standards, and this doesn't come close to meeting them. Without a hint of aggression, she's already miles ahead, leaving them to realize just how far out of reach she truly is. We appreciate you, rare gems, for being a treasured subscriber. Your consistent support is vital to us and fuels our passion for delivering meaningful content. Thank you for your engagement and encouragement. Number 4. If that's all you have to say, I'll find someone worth my time. If that's all you have to say, I'll find someone worth my time. This response doesn't just end the conversation. It pulls the rug out from under them with cool, quiet dismissal. By saying this, she's telling them, without raising her voice or even looking annoyed, that they don't have enough substance to hold her attention. It's a calm assessment of their worth in her world, and they've fallen short. What makes this line sting is its quiet implication. They're not just disrespectful, they're boring. She's essentially saying, if that's the best you've got, I'm out. It's a blow to their ego because it undercuts their attempt to seem important or powerful in her eyes. Her time and attention are valuable, and she's letting them know that they haven't earned it. There's no anger, no need to defend herself, just a calm dismissal that says, you're not interesting enough to engage with. The real power here is in her restraint. She doesn't need to argue or explain why she's moving on. Her words speak for themselves. It leaves them with a lingering doubt, maybe even a bit of frustration, because deep down they know she's already mentally checked out. She's already moved on to better conversations, better people, and better things, leaving them standing there wondering why they even tried. Number 5. Make sure your words carry as much weight as mine before you speak to me like that. Make sure your words carry as much weight as mine before you speak to me like that. This response is like a well-placed dagger wrapped in silk, smooth but sharp enough to cut. With this line, she suddenly tells the other person that they're not even in her league. It's not just a dismissal, it's a powerful reminder that their opinion doesn't hold enough value to merit the tone they've taken with her. The brilliance of this statement lies in its calmness. There's no need for her to shout or become emotional. Her confidence does all the talking. By implying that their words lack substance, she forces them to confront the fact that they've overstepped. It's a quiet assertion of superiority, suggesting that she's operating on a level they can't even begin to grasp. She doesn't need to point out their flaws or engage in a back and forth. Instead, she plants a seed of doubt. Are they really as insightful as they think? Can they back up their bravado with real depth? With this response, she's not just putting them in their place. She's challenging them to reconsider their stance, making them question their own authority. In essence, it's a call to self-reflection, delivered without a hint of aggression. It leaves them standing there, reeling from the realization that they tried to assert dominance over someone who clearly knows her worth. In a single line, she shifts the power dynamic and reminds them that they're not even close to her level. Number 6. When you're ready to speak respectfully, you'll have my attention. When you're ready to speak respectfully, you'll have my attention. This response is both a boundary and a wake-up call. It's direct, leaving no room for misinterpretation, and it firmly establishes that she won't engage with anyone who doesn't approach her with the respect she deserves. There's a strength in her calmness. She doesn't need to raise her voice or make a scene. Instead, she simply states the terms of her engagement, making it clear that disrespect will not be tolerated. This statement carries a sense of finality, suggesting that she won't be swayed or manipulated by petty insults or disrespectful comments. It's a quiet declaration of her standards. She values herself too much to lower her own tone to match someone else's negativity. By framing her response this way, she's not only setting a boundary, but also asserting her worth. Respect isn't just a nice-to-have for her. It's the only currency she accepts in her interactions. What makes this response particularly powerful is its ability to leave the other person feeling challenged. They're forced to consider whether their words are worth her time and attention. In a world where many people engage in tit-for-tat exchanges, She takes a stand and raises the bar. It leaves them with a clear choice. Either elevate their conversation to her level or risk being ignored altogether. In this way, she maintains her dignity and reinforces her position as someone who knows her value. Number 7. Interesting opinion. I'll forget it in a second. Interesting opinion. I'll forget it in a second. It's the kind of response that lands like a quiet bomb. No loud argument, no raised voice, just a dry, cutting reminder that the other person's opinion barely made a ripple in her mind. There's humor in it, too, because it doesn't even pretend to take their words seriously. Instead, it treats their comment like background noise, as if she's more interested in deciding what to have for dinner than whatever petty remark they just made. The real power here is in the subtlety. She's not wasting her time or breath defending herself, and she's definitely not offering them any emotional reaction. By saying she'll forget it in a second, she's letting them know that whatever they thought was so important is, frankly, disposable. It's her way of reminding them that she's unbothered, with zero need to carry their opinion around in her mind. This kind of response doesn't just dismiss the comment, it dismisses the person behind it too. And in a way that stings more. She's saying, "You think you matter in my world, but sorry, you don't even make it past my mental trash can." It's a small but powerful way to reinforce her own boundaries, letting the other person know that irrelevant opinions have a very short shelf life in her space. The subtle humor and disinterest in their attempt to shake her make this line a knockout. Number 8. That's a bold statement from someone with so little insight. It's a comment that lands like a quiet punch, exposing the other person's ignorance without her needing to raise her voice or roll her eyes. This response is a masterpiece of subtle criticism, a quick, biting jab that makes the other person question if they even know what they're talking about. She's not saying they're wrong directly, but rather that their perspective is shallow and their view is, well, limited. It's a sly way of telling them, "You may think you understand, but trust me, you don't." This response forces them to step back and consider whether they've been talking out of turn, maybe overestimating their knowledge on a topic they haven't fully grasped. It's both a challenge and a put-down wrapped in one, and it subtly but firmly draws a line. By pointing out their little insight, she's making it clear that she doesn't just think they're off base. She thinks they lack the depth to even be in the conversation. What's so great about this line is that it doesn't just brush off the disrespect. It reverses it, gently placing the person in the shallow end of the pool. She doesn't need to argue or explain herself because her words do all the work. With one line, she shifted the power, reminding them that their words only revealed their own ignorance. Number 9. You'll have to try harder if you want to provoke a reaction. You'll have to try harder if you want to provoke a reaction. It's a line that shuts down nonsense without breaking a sweat, a calm reminder that she's not here to perform for anyone's amusement. When a Sigma female drops this line, she's making it clear that her emotions are not up for grabs. They're reserved for things that actually matter to her. She's not going to give someone the satisfaction of a reaction just because they're hoping to get under her skin. This response is sharp, but not angry. It mocks their attempts, pointing out that whatever they thought would push her buttons has barely registered. It flips the script, making their efforts look small and almost laughable. By saying they'll have to try harder, she's telling them they're simply not skilled enough to even bother her. There's a bit of humor in it too, like she's letting them know that if they're going to try to rattle her, they'll need to bring something a lot more impressive. She's fully aware of the game they're playing, but she's absolutely uninterested in being a participant. Her time and energy aren't prizes for anyone to win, and she's got no interest in wasting either. This response isn't about shutting them down with a big show. It's about showing them that her attention is something they'll never get by being petty. If they want her energy, they'll have to earn it, and even then, she'll likely still keep it to herself. Number 10. I don't entertain people with no depth. I don't entertain people with no depth. It's a line that doesn't just shut someone down. It dismisses them entirely. By saying this, she's calling out their lack of substance without ever needing to respond to their insult directly. Her focus isn't on their attempt to provoke her. It's on the fact that they, as a person, bring nothing of value to the table. And by saying she doesn't entertain people like that, she's letting them know they don't even qualify as worth her time or energy. The beauty of this response is in its cool honesty. It's a statement that only someone deeply confident and sure of themselves can make. She's not flustered, not angry, just direct. It suggests that she values meaningful interactions and doesn't waste herself on anything shallow or superficial. There's an underlying message here. If they want her attention, they'll have to bring a lot more than cheap insults. It's a response that isn't just dismissive, it subtly shifts the power, making them feel exposed for their own lack of depth. They might have come in thinking they'd rile her up, but instead, they're left feeling small, uninteresting, and unworthy. Her words don't need any dramatic delivery. They're calm, factual, and rooted in her strong sense of self. And in the end, they're left questioning if they ever had the right to speak to her in the first place. Thank you, rare gems, for tuning in. Stay safe and stay vigilant as always. God bless. When a Sigma female encounters disrespect, she doesn't waste time with overreactions or drawn-out explanations. She knows that her power lies in calm, calculated responses that reveal both her self-respect and sharp mind. Each of these responses is designed to subtly shift the balance, letting the other person know that their attempts to rattle her are futile. She doesn't meet disrespect with anger. Instead, she meets it with a quiet confidence that leaves the other person feeling small, their words turned back on them with effortless precision. A Sigma female doesn't need to make a scene or prove herself to anyone, and that's what makes her responses so impactful. Her boundary is clear. Respect is the only way to engage with her. Anything less is met with a dismissive remark or sometimes no reaction at all. In a world full of people eager to fight fire with fire, her approach is refreshing and a little intimidating. She commands respect by staying above the noise, showing that she's in control, not just of the situation, but of herself. And when she walks away, it's with her head high, unbothered and completely unshaken.